Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, Todd.
Thank you so much, Jen. So good to be here.
I'm pumped to chat with you on the show today because you just embodied the essence of what I love to talk about. I'd love for you to share with the listeners just who you are and what your story is.
Yeah, thanks so much. And great to meet you all audio-wise anyway. Todd Polke is my name. If you haven't picked up the accent yet, I hail from the Gold Coast in Australia. I'm an Aussie over in Malaysia right now. What I've spent the last 20 years doing is educating and teaching everyday people how to take control of this area in their life called finances and how to grow strategic wealth portfolios to be able to help them create freedom in life. Because, I had the experience myself is growing up being basically programmed to get to a point in my life where you're just doing the 9 to 5 grind. And I realized at an early age, at the age of 19, once I broke myself at 19, that that's a better way than just working to pay the bills your entire life. And it set me out on this incredible journey of falling in love with the world of investing, not because of the money, but because of the choice, and then being able to help thousands of people over the last 2 decades be able to do the same.
I'm curious to hear then, how did that start for you? What kind of things did you fall into for your beginning of your investment strategy? And is it the same today?
Yeah, what a great question. So before I got in the world of investing, I was a burnt out personal trainer, right? So I would start the day at about 4 a.m. in the morning running those boot camps. I don't know if anyone has done those military inspired boot camps, and where I used to yell at people and make people do 1,000 push-ups, and people pay me to do that. So I used to run these boot camps, and I'd have a bit of a break at about 11 or 12 in the morning. In the midday, I'd start again at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and go through at about 7 or 8 o'clock at night with clients. And what's my whole philosophy of creating success at that stage of my life, at the ripe age of 19 years old, was this: the harder I work, the more successful I'll become. And don't get me wrong, hard work is a great thing, but if it's your only strategy, it leads to this world called burnout. And welcome my life. And by the age of 19, I broke my body, wound up in hospital because I wasn't recovering. I was working 17 hours a day. I was training heavily, playing judo for Australia at that point in time. I broke my health, I broke my relationships, and I was still broke financially at the end of the day. And I got to a point of realizing that this shit's broken. There's got to be a better way than this, right? And it set me out on this journey of studying successful and wealthy people. And because I started to realize that if I didn't get my money working hard for me, I was going to spend my entire life working hard for money. And there's got to be something that these guys know that I have no idea about. But my very first foray into the world of investing was I made a decision at 19 years old. I was going to buy my first property in 6 months' time. Now, I had a bit of a problem at the time. I had no bloody money, is the reality of the matter. But here's what I know, and you'll understand this, Jen, is that when you make a true decision, like not a wishy-washy decision, like a true decision where you choose to leave all your excuses and reasons behind you, you can make absolute magic happen. So I'd made one of those true decisions in my life where I decided that I was going to buy this property in 6 months' time, even though I had no money. And so I bought my first property, did it, got it done, saved $9,000. Mightn't seem like a lot of money to a lot of people, but to me at the time it was a fortune. Got my first property deal and did a renovation on it. And 9 months after I bought it, I made $70,000 in that one property deal while I was 20 years old. And I just like my mind went, like just everything changed for me. I just realized this beautiful thing called leverage. And I learned this important lesson that profits are better than wages. And I use that property to go to another property and then another property and another property. And I built a lot of wealth in a short period of time. And then I proceeded to lose a lot of wealth in a short period of time because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't protect myself. As I rebuilt it again, I fell in love with the world of crypto. I fell in love with the world of business investing. I fell in love with lending strategies. I fell in love with, I was trading options and shares at the time. And to me, it's never about the asset class itself. It's about the purpose it serves in a portfolio. But come back to your question, my world started in the world of real estate. It went into trading and options trading and things like that, went into the world of crypto. Now I fell in love with the world of investing in businesses, especially businesses that have some good to do in the world. And that's part of my mandate. I make a lot of my wealth through business investing now and supporting incredible founders who want to do good on the planet, to be able to bring ideas out of the ground and do them. And then I wind up storing my wealth in real estate. Hope that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, it does. And I love that nugget you dropped in there when you had the epiphany. And I hope listeners are listening to that. Profits over wages. If you can have that shift, that is a game changer. When you realize that you don't have to trade your time for dollars and just keep, like you said, working harder until you burn out. That is, I think, the switch that most people need to hear to be able to pivot from a life of just being stuck in the day-to-day grind, that rat race, into be able to going out and creating financial freedom.
So true. And you'll know with this what you do, like wealth is just as much as an inside game as it is an outside game, right? The outside game being some strategy and some income generation and some accumulation of assets and some things. But the inside mindset game is equally important, right? Like you got to have both. They've got to be married together. Unfortunately, we're all given, most of us have pretty dirty minds when it comes to money, right? Like we're not grown up with the cleanest, most abundant mindset. And we have to do some rewiring along the way in order to be able to do that, right? But those mindset shifts, and I call it like you become the CEO of your financial business. I have a core philosophy that every single person is running a personal wealth business. Everyone is, right? Now, your business may not be doing very well right now, but if you're honest with some of you listening in, if you're honest with yourself, your business may not be working very well right now, but you do have one. And as soon as we understand that and we put up our CEO cap and we put it on and we start treating our wealth like a business, not because of the money, but because of the choice, everything changes because you start approaching your financial life rather than just some hobby you get to when it's tax time or when there's a bill to pay or when there's an emergency. And you actually start being proactive with your money. And I call it, I want everyone to normalize wealth creation, right? Like normal in life is just as you said, exchanging time of money, working to pay the bills. That's a shit normal, pure and simple. What we want to do is turn wealth creation, financial freedom, abundance, like manifestation, choice. Let's normalize that. That's a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, no kidding. So if somebody's listening and they're going, but at the end of the day, I have no money left, it's gone. What is your advice for somebody to start to get on the path to wealth creation?
Yeah, it's such a good question. It's so good to come back to the beginning, like stages, like where we are. I don't know if you've had this experience in your life, Jen, but have you had the experience of evaporating money, where money comes into your life, then it magically evaporates? Have you? Because I've had that experience. I don't know if you've had that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people do. They have this mystery of the universe called evaporating money. Money comes in and then it just magically evaporates. And one of the reasons for this is that a lot of people are very inefficient with their money. They're not organized with money. And money loves order. Money loves structure. Money loves to have a job. If you don't value money, again, not because of the dollar sign, but because of the choice, if you don't value money, then it's going to go to a place where it's more valued, which is someone else's pocket, right? So here's the way I always think about it. Every time a dollar hits your bank account, give it a plan, give it a purpose. For want of a better word, give it a job, right? And a lot of people, when money comes into their life, it just goes to urgencies. And so it will tend to go to the urgent bills that people have to pay, put a roof over your head, energy bills, things like that. If you've got kids or termites, I call kids termites, like they eat you out of house and home, right? So you go to your kids. Then for a lot of people, it goes, well, I want to go and enjoy myself. Let's put something on entertainment. Let's buy some stuff that we don't need. And then if there's any money left over, then maybe I'll put some away for a rainy day. But by the time it goes through this cycle, most people run out of money before they run out of month, and they go get credit, and then they go start the cycle of again. They get themselves trapped in this process, right? One of the most valuable, and we've all heard this before, pay yourself first. We've heard it, we know we should do it, but why have people not started? And the older adage is that 10% of your income. Some people go, Todd, I can't do 10%. All right. Totally understand. Start with 1%. And then month number 2, go to 2%. Month number 3, go to 3%. And don't tell me you can't save 1% of your money. Like, tell your lies to someone else. It's not true. We all know that we can. Even if it's $5, I don't care. Tuck $5 away because something magical happens when you do this. All of a sudden, because money attracts money, right? There's an energetic frequency around resonance around money that when you are actually starting to value money and you're starting to give money a job and you're starting to think more abundantly, you start to think about wealth creation is my new normal, then there's this energetic resonance that starts to happen, right? And even if you start with $5, and then the next week you do another $5, and the next week you do $6. And all of a sudden you're starting to build this habit of wealth. And as you start to build that habit of wealth, your identity starts to shift, that you actually start to become, well, I am now an investor. I am someone who saves money, not, money's just not for me, or, I'm always broke at the end of the day, or I never have enough money. I don't know where my money goes. And so we're starting to shift this whole identity construct. But To me, everyone I start with, if you can do 10%, cool, do it. If you can't, do 1%, and then start the habit of ratcheting it up and 2%, 3%, 4%. I had a client start to do this, and they wound up after 18 months saving 40% of their income after telling me from word go, Todd, you don't understand. I can't save any money.
40.
40% of their income.
That's amazing.
It's cool, right? Because what they also did is that as they started to take on this identity, what they also did is they started to find some ways to raise their value to the marketplace so they can get paid some more. And so they were saving some money and doing some things. And after 6 months, they started investing. And then they started to raise their income, right? And try to some strategies. And so they raised their income. They started stacking more and more away. And 40% of their income, by 18 months, they started stacking away, and their whole financial world changed.
Yeah, I love that. Breaking it down for somebody like that who, because so easily as human beings, we just, like I see with my kids all the time, immediately they can go to, I can't. And then they just shut down. Like there's no other options. So to make it bite-sized, even for the adults who are listening, to make it doable. Because sometimes, especially in the way that the economy has inflated in the last few years, people feel hopeless. They feel like their money is just gone, like you said, before they know it. So to give them a bite-sized starting point, that can be huge for somebody to see the progress, get confidence in themselves, and keep going from there.
And what you said there is so important. That financial confidence is everything. Mm-hmm. And so for a lot of people, they associate this energy of fear around money, and then it's this lack around money. And just that's because it might be their experience that they've had to date. And then we've got to start asking the question, well, what takes away fear? And it's two things. It's knowledge and it's experience. And that's what takes away fear. And so how can we start to learn the language of money? And how can we start having a little bit of experience with money and a little bit of experience with investing in a small, easy way? And we start stacking those wins step by step over time. And all of a sudden, your financial confidence, you start becoming fluent in the language of money. Your financial confidence goes through the roof. And key things we have to remember that wealth creation is a marathon. It's not a sprint. People spend decades of their life getting themselves in their current financial situation, but then just want it to change overnight, right? But what if we had a long-term perspective? And what if we just focus on building this deep and ultra strong foundation of our finances and wealth and see where that takes us for the future? And your outcomes can be incredible.
Yeah. Just talking about the bite size, what do you see in 2025 here with, I mean, you've mentioned crypto and stuff before. Yeah. What are some easy ways for the person that's like, oh, I don't have 20% to go buy that property, right? What are some easy ways to get into the investment world?
What you said before about the economy and stuff, there's been a lot that's happened since the GFC. The last 15 years has been a roller coaster ride when it comes to finances. And unfortunately, it's poleaxed a lot of people. And it's really sad for me to see. And this whole idea of financial security of what we thought it was in the past, I'll just have a safe, secure job and pay your home off. That's not financial security. All you have to do is look at what's happened the last 15 years after GFC, after the pandemic nonsense and all the other stuff. Everyday people got absolutely poleaxed, right? And we really need to start redesigning what financial security actually means to us and how we're going to set us up, right? I always think about about micro investing, right? And you don't need a lot of money to start investing. Like, you just don't. A lot of people have to have money to make money. No, I don't have enough money in investing. We have all these mind viruses that we tell ourselves, right? That why we can't do so. Why not me? Why not now? Where if we realize that we have options out there where we could start with $5 a week if we wanted to, all of a sudden it goes, oh, can I? That response I get is unbelievable from people all the time. What? Can you? And yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite areas is the world of cryptocurrency. I love it. I love it for many reasons, not only because I think it's going to be the fastest growing asset class in the next 5 years, but also because of the philosophy behind it. There's the sovereignty behind it, and this ability to be more sovereign as an individual and remove yourself a little bit from the control of the financial system and things like that, and all the ways they manipulate that, right? And a lot of people go, I just don't even understand what crypto is. And, again, we could just start learning. A lot of people ask me, how do I invest in my kids? I've got this for my daughter and my son, right? Every week, $20 goes for each child goes out of my account, and it goes into one of the crypto exchanges. The crypto exchange automatically buys $20 worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I set this up 3 years ago and I haven't touched it. right? It's just automatic. I just have a rhythm that every month I check in on it and how's it all going. And I show my kids, like, here's what we're building and here's what we're doing it for. And my daughter's just got her first job at good old Domino's Pizza, good old teenage job, right? So we've got a deal that she's going to save 20% of her income. I'm going to match it with another 20% because we're saving towards our first house when we get to 20 years old is what the plan is. And so we're doing this micro investing in cryptocurrency. We're doing micro investing in just a simple managed fund at the same time. So it's really easy to get started with small amounts of money. $5, start there. It does not matter. Just get started.
Mm-hmm. I have investment funds too for my kids that I have set up in crypto as well. And they can't even wrap their head around it. To them, it's their fake money that they can't touch. They're 5 and 9. Like they just have zero concept of it right now. But I'm like, one day they're going to appreciate it.
Teenage years, they might be going, Mom, can I have some of that money that you said that I have so I could go buy some things? No, that's what I'm getting now, my 14-year-old.
Yeah, that's so true. We'll reach that bridge when we get there. I think it's cool that your daughter, you're setting her up to kind of take over like the legacy that you started buying your property when you were in your 20s. Because looking at my kids and looking at the way the market has changed, we have a real estate portfolio too. I know that we're going to be able to set our kids up fine. But looking at their peers, I don't even know if it'll be a reality for them to buy a property in the future, right? If you flash forward 20 years.
Yeah. Follow the breadcrumbs. In Australia, the average age of the first home buyer now is 37 years old, right? So that's the average age of the first home buyer in Australia. And the number of first home buyers in their 40s literally doubled in the last 5 years alone. And so the rate of knots is incredible. And when I say follow the breadcrumbs, you also look at, okay, and this may be true in Australia. I know, US, I've got a lot to say about politics around the manipulation of human beings. But anyway, I won't get too stuck into that.
I'm in Canada, so I have my own opinion of that too.
Okay, cool, great, awesome. And so I sit there and I look at Australia and I go, I mean, Canada is incredibly highly taxed as well. What's your highest marginal tax rate? We're at 47.5%. Are you about similar?
Yeah, we're similar, yeah.
Yeah. And every year they're adding more taxes in. They're adding these unrealized capital gains taxes in. They want to tax superannuation, which is pension and 401k versions, for example. They're adding taxes in on that. They're wanting to tax trusts now. They want more windfall. I could go on and on about this. But then at the same time, they've got this mass immigration policy. We have nowhere near enough real estate. They're not doing anything to increase the level of supply in the marketplace. And on top of that, they are increasing the build to rent. They're giving tax breaks for build to rent operators. So the big funds and pension funds and superannuations, build to rent, for those who don't know, a fund, for example, or a developer will build a building or build a complex, not to sell it, but to keep it so they can rent it out to people, right? So that is increasing at a rate of knots in Australia. Also, we're seeing that the government is starting to change like standard tenancy leases from 1 to 2 years to 5 years to 10 years and allowing tenants to have, you can't say no to having a dog, right? And if I want a tenant to move on, then I have to show just cause out of 3 different reasons, and that's it. Everything is being positioned for our nation to become a lifetime of renters. I dare say a bunch of that is happening in Canada as well, Jen, because I'm equally as scared. Your kids are going to be fine. My kids are going to be fine. But for those who haven't gotten themselves financially educated and haven't gotten themselves started investing and thinking about this, like I think about my kids and I go, what's it going to be like in 10 years' time? What's it going to be like? It's going to be impossible to get into the real estate market and have your own home. And you're going to be subject to become just a lifetime renter. Then you got AI, and then you got central bank digital currencies, and you got all the other stuff we can talk about. And I'm genuinely worried about people's ability to be able to be in control of their financial future and their own choices in their life.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's why conversations like this need to happen, where people can, for free, listen to a podcast, gain these little nuggets and go, wait a second, okay, I'm going to start by putting away 10 or 1% and paying myself first that 1%. And inexpensive resources like books.
Yeah, for sure. As much as we're talking about, it feels like a bit of doom and gloom and it's difficult and all this type of stuff. We also have to understand that you're listening in now, you have so much access to information and education for free that 20 years ago when I first started was not there. Jen, when did you get started investing? How long ago was that? Is it like a little while ago now? Like, We're
Yeah.
podcasts around, we're webinars around.
No,
Like,
no. Like
no,
I had literally Rich Dad Poor
right.
Dad books on
Yeah,
my
me too.
coffee table.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So we have to understand that your access to information and education right now, you even listening in right now to this type of conversation. Oh my goodness, I wish I had this back 20 years ago when I first started. There's so much opportunity now if you get educated that wasn't the same back then. Take advantage of that. I'll just say that. And yeah, I just authored a book. So it's just been published in Australia. It's available. I'm working on getting it published in the US as well. A publishing house in China is about to just translate it. And it's being launched over in China next year as well, which is incredible. And I've been working this book for 2 years, and the book is called Escape the Middle. I'll just explain to everyone listening what that means, because everyone goes, well, escape the middle. Is it talking about money? Is it middle class? And I don't mean middle class, right? Here's what the premise is. What I know to be true in life is that as we go through life, we're taught some things about how money is, what we're worth, what we're not worth, what we can do, what we can't do, what's possible for us, what's not possible for us, what money means this, money doesn't mean this. And this is how we should wind up living our life. We're taught that we go to school and we exchange, that we study hard so we can get good grades, and then we can get out of the workforce and exchange time for money. And you buy a home with a fat mortgage on it, and you get in some debt to buy some things you don't need to impress people you don't really care about. And you put some money for a retirement savings and hope that's going to save you in the future. And then you settle into this life where you exchange time for money for the next 40, 50 years of your life until one day you can magically retire and live the good life. And that system is failing people at a rate of knots. And I call this process, this default life, called the middle. And we wind up in the space where we have a middle level of income, a middle level of earning, a middle level of opportunity, a middle level of choice, a middle level of freedom, a middle level of meaning, living a middle level of purpose. And a lot of people get to this point and then they get stuck. And it's not your fault. We're just not taught anything about money. We're not taught about how to design the life of our dreams and go execute to be able to do it. We're not taught how to create financial freedom. This is why these conversations and podcasts like what you do, Jen, is so important. And so we're not taught any of this. And a lot of people spend their entire life stuck in the middle and just wishing that they could be doing something else, wishing there was more of experience they could have, knowing that there was more they wanted to give back to the planet and to their family, and knowing that there was a hidden purpose they wanted to go and live. And so this book is called Escape the Middle, and it's a blueprint to help everyday people, no matter where you're starting from, whether you're starting from beginning or whether you have multi-millions in a portfolio, to give you a blueprint that you can actually escape your pathway from the middle and not only have the tactics and the strategies and the financial education, but also the mindset stuff, which is equally important. The subtitle is Turn on Your Millionaire Mode and Build Wealth Which Outlives You, right? And so we're talking about the mindset and the strategy all mashed in together with the blueprint that you need to know. It took me 2 years to write. I'm really proud of it. We've sold about 5,000 copies so far, and we just got started about a couple of months ago, which is cool. Yeah, it's a really, really powerful thing. I'm really proud of it.
That's exciting. And I'm going to link that in the show notes so that people will be able to click through and check that out. And before we cut out today, I would love for you to share, what is your biggest piece of advice for someone to go out and create a life they love?
Wow, what an incredible question. My biggest piece of advice, and I say this to everybody, is that you have no idea what is possible for you. You are worth and capable of so much more than you could possibly know. And it's when we start believing that and knowing that within ourselves is that everything can start turning around. But as I said earlier, I know that we're given some limiting beliefs in terms of what we're capable of in life. And what I want for everyone is to have that belief within themselves. What I want for everyone is to start moving towards it, right? Step by step. Just know that the game of success and wealth, whatever that means to you in life, it's a long-term game. And the more that you start putting one foot in front of the other, baby steps, time and time again, you'll never recognize your life again in 5 years' time. And that's a beautiful thing. And knowing that wealth and success is a habit, and because it's a habit, it's about the small things, not about the big things, it means that everybody can do it. And that means you too.
Mm-hmm. I love that. There's so much you touch on. I don't think the word has come out of your mouth, but intention. The biggest core piece of creating financial independence is just setting that intention that it is yours to claim, that you are striving towards financial independence, and take the steps towards it. That is what I'm getting from what you are sharing.
Yeah, spot on. I should have used the word intention about 10 times by now. And like, I want everyone to be intentional with their money. I want everyone to be intentional with their investments, intentional with their life, intentional with their time and their energy. The more that we can optimize our life towards this outcome that we want to live, whatever that is for you, that version of freedom that is for you, and then be intentional what we do rather than just random and just leave our life to chance, like your life will just change before your eyes. You hit the nail on the head there, Jen. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Todd. I would love for you to share with the listeners how they can reach out and connect with you.
Yeah, number one, we'll leave a link for the book. I would love for you guys to grab it. You can get it on Amazon. It's really powerful. It's helped thousands of people already. I would love for it to support you. The best place is just, I'm the only Todd Polke that exists, Polke. Find me on social media. I would love to connect. We also run a free Facebook group called the Wealth Dojo, and it's just a free Facebook community full of crazy cool investors who are just out there like wanting to learn about money and learn about investing, learn about wealth, and actually take control of this thing called their financial life and build wealth which outlives them. I would love for people to come and find that and join that. It would be absolutely amazing.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate you. Thank you.